Last weekend, I took the initiative to invite my best friend to go out for a meal together. The two of us planned everything very carefully, choosing the restaurant and clearly agreeing on the time, and she happily said yes. That day, I arrived right on time and sat there waiting. But even after almost 1 hour, she still had not shown up. I kept checking my phone over and over, waiting while trying to reassure myself that she was probably stuck in traffic. Nearly 1 hour later, she sent me a message. "Sorry, I completely forgot. I am out with my boyfriend right now, so I probably cannot make it." At that moment, I felt disappointed because I had been stood up, and at the same time, I felt disrespected. And this was not the first time she had broken a promise. Before that, she had already canceled plans with me many times. Those broken promises made me start looking again at who she really was as a person. And if you have ever experienced situations where someone around you constantly breaks their promises like that, then today's video will help you recognize a person's true nature through their everyday actions and the way they interact with others. Let's get started. Sign 1. The value of a promise. You still remember the story about my friend, right? When she broke her promise, she only sent a short message and then ignored the whole thing. No phone call, no proper apology, not even an attempt to reschedule another time. That made me feel sad. It felt like my invitation had no value, and at times I even blamed myself for expecting too much from a promise that the other person clearly did not take seriously. Every promise creates a quiet expectation. When someone says, "I will come," or "I will do it," they are sending a message. You matter to me, and my word has value. When they keep that promise, it shows they truly see you as important. But when they break it, the opposite message appears. My priorities matter more than my commitment to you. Research on trust in relationships shows that consistency between words and actions is a core factor in reliability. Psychologist Albert Bandura emphasized that repeated behavior shapes both how others see us and how we see ourselves. In other words, every time someone keeps a promise, they reinforce the identity of being trustworthy. Every time they break one without taking responsibility, they build the opposite image. That is why a person's character often appears in small promises. Showing up on time, finishing a task they agreed to do, replying to a message they said they would answer. These things sound simple, but that is exactly why they matter. No one is standing there forcing them to do it. When someone still keeps their word in small situations like these, it shows responsibility and respect for the relationship. But if even small commitments are easily ignored, you are seeing how they treat the trust others place in them. Sign 2. How they treat people who offer them no benefit. At my company, there is a coworker who seems very friendly and cheerful. When he talks to the boss, he is gentle. With clients, he is polite and always smiling. Anyone looking from the outside would think he is easygoing and approachable. But one day, I saw him talk to the cleaning lady in the office, and his tone changed completely. He was not polite at all, just blunt and irritated because she happened to be mopping the floor where he was walking. He raised his voice and said, "Can you not see I am walking here?" She immediately stopped and apologized. I could clearly see the embarrassment and hurt on her face. The kind of hurt from someone who knows they are not in a position to push back, so they simply stay quiet and accept it. In psychology, behaviors like this are often linked to what is called the power effect. When someone feels they hold a higher position, even a small advantage like being a customer, a full-time employee, or someone with a higher role, their brain tends to reduce social restraint. Simply put, when people feel they are in the upper position, they feel less pressure to manage their image. Studies on power show that when people feel powerful, their level of empathy can temporarily decrease. They focus more on their own needs than on the feelings of others. So if they already lack respect or emotional control, it becomes more visible when they interact with someone in a weaker position. This also relates to what psychology calls a weak situation. When standing in front of a boss or someone who can affect their interests, people naturally adjust their behavior to create a good impression. But when facing someone who cannot benefit or harm them, that layer of image control fades. And when it fades, their real values begin to show. That is why the way someone treats people who bring them no benefit reveals what they truly value. Are they kind because they fear losing something, or because they genuinely respect others? Are they polite only when building their image, or do they remain decent even when no one important is watching? One moment of irritation can happen because of stress, but if disrespect toward weaker people appears again and again, it is no longer a temporary emotion. It becomes a pattern of how they see the world and how they see other people, and that perspective is their real character. But before using these two signs to judge someone else, pause for a moment and look at yourself. It is easy to notice inconsistency or disrespect in others, but we rarely ask whether we sometimes do the same thing. Have we ever broken a promise and brushed it off? Have we ever behaved differently towards someone we considered unimportant? Reflecting and evaluating yourself. I remember a time when I promised a friend I would help with a small task. At the moment I agreed, I was very enthusiastic. But when things got busier, I kept putting it off. I thought, it is probably not that urgent. And eventually, I forgot about it. When my friend reminded me, I suddenly realized how it feels to be the person on the other side of a broken promise. There were also times when work pressure made me frustrated, and I ended up releasing that frustration toward people in weaker positions than me. Sometimes I even said things that sounded hurtful. I did not intend to insult them, but my negative emotions landed on someone who could not really push back. Looking back at moments like that helped me understand something important. These two signs are not only tools for judging others, they are reminders for us to adjust ourselves, keep our promises, maintain respect, and take responsibility for our emotions before they hurt someone else. When you are honest enough to reflect on yourself like this, you grow in the way you live and treat people. At the same time, you start to understand human behavior more clearly. And once you understand yourself, you can see others more calmly, more fairly, and you are less likely to be fooled by pleasant words on the surface. In the end, these two signs act like a compass that helps guide you through relationships. When you observe how someone keeps their promises, you learn where responsibility sits in their priorities. When you notice how they treat people with less power, you understand the standards they use to view others. And when you are brave enough to examine yourself through those same signs, you are growing in a very real way. Each day, just try to keep your word a little more. Be a little more patient, and be more aware of how you treat people. Consistency repeated over time builds trust, and trust is the foundation of every lasting relationship. And if your story includes situations like this, or if you are uncertain about a relationship in your life, feel free to share your thoughts below. Your experience might help someone else understand their own journey more clearly. For now, goodbye, and I will see you next time.